everybody. I am so sorry about the wait. I know I changed it to 11:30, but I wanted to come on a few minutes early since I'm now able to, just because I know there's a few of you that have been waiting since 11. And, okay, I'm telling you, this is going to be some information. Okay. The information I'm going to share with you tonight is from the same source that I got the information about Don Wells and Candace not failing their or not passing their lie detector test, and also not passing their blood tests for drugs. Okay, I can't share who this person is. They're very worried about getting in trouble. And I would never, so please no one message or email me and ask me, not that I think any of you guys would that are here right now, but please don't pressure me, because I'd have to be tortured to give up, to, ruin somebody's life and all the time and education that they had spent getting to where they are in life. And this is just some stuff that they can't keep to themselves. A lot of it's it's not directly related to the Summer Well case, but it's related to the parents. So indirectly, it's going to be, it could explain what could have happened to Summer. Most of this stuff might be some things that you probably already felt intuitively or kind of assumed, but these are things that are, will confirm some of that. And of course, I'm just a YouTuber that you don't know. And you still, I'm sure it will leave a little bit of doubt, because you don't know me from Adam. So it made me sick to my stomach. I'm nervous, and I won't probably be looking at chat while I'm going over what she shared, because it will get me distracted. I might share a few things and then go to chat, and then if I have time and able, I wanted to go over, I don't know if you guys saw it's Sweetie Pie Low. She shared the medium readings by Reverend Donna Serafina. Absolutely amazing medium. I know there's a lot of people that don't believe in that stuff, but wow, this lady's the real deal. And I wanted to show a few clips from that if we have time. It matters how much time it takes to get through this information. There's going to be a few things that are like, wow, okay. To me, I know maybe not so much to you guys, but to me it was, because I know this person is the real deal. But you guys just, you just have to basically have faith in me that I'm being honest, because there are a lot of people that spread misinformation just to get views and whatever. But yeah, Melissa, this lady so bad wants people to know this information, but she doesn't know how without getting herself wrapped up into some situations. She spent a lot of time, and money and education to be able to get to where she is, and it's eating at her. She wants to be able to talk to people with it and get her off her chest. And I'm sure she can with people in her field or whatever. But, I don't know to what extent. So, hey, everybody. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Melissa, April, and Ladybug. I appreciate you guys so much. And I appreciate you guys having faith in me that I am, being honest. And you're just going to have to take me for my word. That's all I can say. There's just no more proof that I can give than beyond that. And I just got very lucky. She claims I'm the only person that she has mentioned anything to. It took some time for her to open up, but she was, she did. It took a little while for her to tell me just about the drug screens, which, I've seen other channels mention they had crack cocaine in their system, and that, but I didn't hear the meth thing with Dawn. And, I think a lot of us assume that Dawn and Candace didn't really pass I think they're taking their inconclusive test as a pass. I mean, because, hey, it's not a fail. I mean, it's better. But they were inconclusive on the guilty knowledge part of the test, if for those of you that didn't know. And okay, so let's get started. I'm not going to look at chat. Actually, I'm going to move it away from the screen. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, it made me so sick to my stomach, because I was like, I didn't know. I don't ever want to get anybody in any trouble, or not, or have them, it takes many years to be able to get to the point to have a good profession going, and a lot of time and money, and I just would never want to ruin that for somebody. And also, I don't know if it's that, or if I'm worried about that, I think, but I don't know exactly. I don't know if it's the information. A lot of this stuff is stuff I already assumed, but it was shocking to the specifics you're not going to hear before. So you might know, like, just like you probably assume that they did fail their lie detector test, or there were some issues with that, but you probably didn't know that it was for the guilty knowledge part of the test. You know what I mean? So I'm going to remove the comments for a second, and then I'll pull them back up because I just get distracted. Okay? Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. Okay, so we're going to go over the first thing. Let me make sure you guys, I am going to pull, can you hear me okay? Am I speaking loud enough? I know I'm kind of like speaking well, my heart is beating so fast. Okay. First of all, for anybody who was curious, I just messaged her because I wanted to know. I know I've been asked a few times, and I've heard people wondering how old the boys are. So she says the boys are 12, 11, and 9. So if that is true, if anybody knows that to be true, then I guess that's confirmation that, she's the real deal. I don't know that to be true. I do know the oldest boy is 12, and I remember that just because that's very close to my daughter's age. I was thinking that the two youngest were a little bit, I didn't know one was just a year behind the 12. But anyways, that's not the pertinent information. Okay, yeah, thanks, Riley. I'm going to remove the chat now. Okay. So I guess there's different categories and stuff. This has a lot to do with the CPS situation with Dawn and Candace. And I guess there's different categories or something. I don't know if anybody can confirm this or whatever. I haven't had any time to look up to verify this information, but she speaks like she knows what she's talking about. Her language and the words she uses, she sounds educated, and she sounds like she knows what she's talking about. Shoot, I didn't want to even say she. I was going to say they, but there I go, Ari. So anyways, she said, so she started with the neglect category, which includes, she tells me, includes these subcategories of environmental neglect, nutritional neglect, medical neglect, educational neglect, and lack of supervision. Okay? So she first mentions there were several of the categories that the boys had been found to fall in. The first one was under the neglect category. Under the neglect category is where, she says environmental neglect speaks for itself. I guess from what we see from the house, being a deplorable condition without the adequate beds, there wasn't clean bedding, and the mattresses were soiled. We've seen that environmental neglect. We saw that from what we've seen ourselves. That's what's. So nutritional neglect. The boys were not provided healthy meals at a minimum of three times a day. So they weren't given adequate nutrition. Probably something we already assumed. I mean, come on. None of us no meals or any type of food was mentioned the day Summer went missing, except a slushie, right? And maybe a Fanta or whatever, that orange drink or whatever it was, and Skittles. So here's where it gets a little shocking. The medical neglect. There was no dental care. They had no dental records. Well, she said, I shouldn't say there was no dental records. All I was told was dental care was not provided. So I don't know if that's I guess she didn't have any records of that. And I would assume that, and this is what I mentioned to her. I said, I'm surprised because surely they qualify for Medicaid, right? I mean, even though Candace and Dawn are married, I mean, they still would qualify for Medicaid for at the very minimum, health insurance for those boys. Maybe not food stamps and stuff, but definitely Medicaid and insurance. So there's no excuse for that. And dental is always provided for kids that are under 18, okay? For adults, it's not always provided. It depends what state you're in, but for kids, yeah. So they were not going to the doctor. They never went to the doctor. They were lice infested, and we're talking they had body lice. I didn't even know there was such a thing, okay? So they weren't given any type of, they were considered neglectful because they did not take them to the doctor for a body lice. Also, so she said that was times 4. So all of them, Summer and the 3 boys, all had body lice. And also Candace, guys. Candace had body lice. Scabies. She didn't tell me how many had scabies, but at least one of them had scabies and was not given proper doctor or medical care for that. I didn't even know I don't even know really what scabies was. I did look it up after she mentioned it because I figured I started to ask her, I'm like, what is that exactly? And I also asked her what body lice was. I was like, is that crabs? No, it's different, because I was like, oh my God, like, is that like an STD, like passed on to the boys? But I guess body lice is not crabs, it's different. And the scabies, it looked like, from what I looked up, it looked like some type of rash, that some type of mite or parasite that crawls underneath your skin, and just horrible. So the next subcategory under the neglect category was educational neglect. So they missed school an abnormal amount of days. The number of assignments and homework was never turned in by the boys. The lack of IEP for all 3 boys. So they should have IEP. I guess that's a educational plan where you get special, like a kid gets special kind of, I don't know what the right word is, not privileges, kind of privileges. That's the only thing I can think of a word to use. where they get like extra time for tests or whatever, depending on. So she says that all have some type of special needs. So all 3 boys have special needs, and we're not set up with IEPs. So also under the neglect category, lack of supervision. They were being left alone for up to 6 hours a day. And you got to remember too, that's something I brought up to her. I'm like, because I have a daughter who's, I started letting stay at home for an hour or 2 or whatever while I go to my office, and she's 13. And so I don't think it's really weird, but then I remembered they don't have a phone there. What if something would happen? And 3 boys together at that age are, they could come up with some things to, get in trouble easily. And you can't tell me they're going to just stay in that house and not go out and wander around. But yeah, and then she mentions the body lice Candace had also. That's crazy. Okay, so that was the first category. I'll move on to the next category will be the physical abuse category, with subcategories of physical abuse. And then the second subcategory is drug exposed child. I'll look at the chat just for a second here. Yeah, special needs plan. So yeah. Summer at the dentist, I wonder how long ago. It was weird because I look at older pictures of Summer and she seemed dressed better and just taken care of more and stuff. And then, but her teeth like were rotted out in the front. So it's obvious that there was any type of dental. I'm just going by what I was told. So I'm not saying, I don't know. She probably did go to I don't know. They modify the work for them. Modifications. Okay. So I'll go on since there's not any comments really. Not many. So the next category, the physical abuse category. All 3 boys were physically abused by Dawn and Candace. They were kicked, punched, their hair was pulled. They were beaten with objects such as belts, shoes, and other items. That gives me chills, guys. That makes me really uncomfortable. I haven't read through this since when she first told me. So, yeah. So, once again, the boys were all physically abused by Dawn and Candace, by being kicked, punched, their hair being pulled. They were beaten with belts, shoes, and other items. Before I go on to the drug exposed part, I don't know how she didn't elaborate how CPS knows this. I do know the boys are, well, maybe I can mention that when I get to the part where she mentions it, but I have a feeling the boys are talking. But they have been under investigation for a while, and before the Summer Wells being whatever happened with her, which that makes you think if CVS was so involved at the time and they knew that CPS, did I say CVS? CVS is one of my favorite places, but when it's CVS, if it was closing on, it really makes me think that it makes me really believe that they were scared that sexual abuse would become known, and they had to find something to do with Summer. So, under the physical abuse category, under the subcategory of a drug exposed child, All 3 boys were exposed to drugs, meaning that they were in the presence of their parents while they used drugs and alcohol. I mean, which I'm sure that's something that we already assumed. So the next category is called psychological harm. And the subcategory is just psychological harm. I guess there's just one subcategory under that, or either that or that's the only. I don't know if there's other subcategories that she didn't mention. Maybe she just mentioned the parts that they were concerning, but there's only one here. So she says that all boys were emotionally and psychologically harmed with words, threats, and yelling up to several times a day. See, another thing that I think we probably already. So, in the last year, there has been a total of 7 abuse claims. So, all these people saying that weren't there people that called in CPS and, made them aware? There were. And I think that according to her, 7 times in the last year, there was a total of 7 abuse claims. And I think so CPS was involved and people were calling in. And I think that just backs up the possibility that maybe that's what Summer's disappearance was due to something like that, because of, I just believe that. So she says there have been years of child abuse. There is no truth to Dawn's lies that the boys were removed because of internet threats. She said, huge lie. They were removed under priority 1, which means that the children were in imminent danger. So any of you guys who have worked for CPS, I've never heard of priority 1, but that is why they were categorized to be in imminent danger. There is a gag order, she says, and that Dawn is breaking it, and that there is an upcoming emergency hearing over that because of Dawn continually speaking on things he's not supposed to, I guess. Oh, here's the shocker. You guys ready for it? Let me look at the hi, Benny. I don't know. Benny doesn't bother me, really, guys. I mean, I don't agree with anything he really says or does, but I don't care who's in the chat. It doesn't. So he's fine. And Summer's teeth, the dentist friend, that he said she had no enamel left and a rotten tooth, and he said it looked like she never brushed her teeth. Okay. So I'll remove the comments again so I can continue without distraction. Oh my God, you guys ready for this one? This was the most shocking one to me, I think. Candace is being investigated for a relationship with Hunter. Okay, and that's not all. It gets a little bit. It's elaborated on a little bit. Okay, but Candace is being investigated for a relationship with Hunter. Okay, guys. Candace was 100% involved with Hunter in a sexual manner. And CPS knows this. Okay? She says Candace was 100% involved with Hunter in a sexual manner. Currently, Candace is under investigation with, I guess she called it DCS. I guess that means Department of Child Services. We call it CPS up here. And once they finish their investigation, they will be turning everything over to law enforcement. So later on, I ask her, so how hasn't Dawn and Candace been charged with anything? They know that there's sexual abuse with which is, or whatever, it'd be sexual abuse, right? Because Hunter's under 18 or whatever. And Candace is 39. How is she not being charged with some type of, well, they're not done with their investigation. They're still investigating things, and the charge they're going to be. You guys, they will be charged with all this stuff. There's nothing, this is stuff that they already, obviously already know about. CPS obviously knows about it. So me speaking on it doesn't change anything. They're going to Candace is going to be arrested for messing with a kid who I don't know when it started. She didn't elaborate, but she did say 100% they were in a sexual relationship. And she goes further. She says Candace was sexually involved with Hunter even while the kids were around. The kids weren't involved sexually with the whole thing, but the boys witnessed it. Okay? Meaning they were in another room or, around Candace and Hunter. Well, out in public. I don't know what that means. She says the outings at the swim holes is noted. So I don't know what she really meant by that, but she said the outings at the swim holes is noted. I'm saying it exactly how she put it. She said, okay, I'll read that. Candace was sexually involved with Hunter even while the kids were around indirectly. Meaning they were in another room or away from Candace and Hunter while out in public. The outings at the swim holes is noted. And listen to this. Candace was, or I'm sure probably not anymore because she's probably scared out of her mind, was harassing Hunter's girlfriend, who is also underage. And then she goes on to state that Candace is equally as dangerous as Dawn. So it sounds like, which I've heard before, that Candace was harassing or whatever, Hunter's girlfriend, which just kind of shows me that it was some kind of weird jealousy. Candace jealous of Hunter's girlfriend. Just because Hunter and them say, when Chris McDonough asked about, are you guys, in a relationship? She's like, I have a girlfriend. That doesn't matter. Come on. It does not matter. He's 14 and he's going to do, he's at that age. He's going to do whatever's offered to him, whoever's offered to him. He's just at that age and he's, So let me see if you guys say anything. Yeah, it's not a relationship. But they're, that's just the word she used. It is a pedo. What the hell? And it's no wonder they were on the outs. Jessica, can you, when I'm done, maybe just rewind and stuff? Where I explain it's the same place I got the info about the drug screens and the lie detector test. Because I know, like I mentioned before, you can't, and I'm not asking you, I mean, because I know, you can't believe everything everybody says on here. Just like how we all thought Don was arrested. I think more people than not really thought he was. So, I'm just saying, yeah, I cannot give any proof. I will not, I mean, I would have to be tortured to give up this person. It would ruin them. I just can't. But I explained it more in the beginning. Yeah, Melinda. I don't know. I will tell you this. I can assume her profession. Well, I guess I know what profession hers is, but I don't. And I kind of wish I do wish I didn't mention her, or because that, that narrows it down by 50%. Now we know everybody knows the person's a her that's giving me this information. Yeah, I never would. I would never. I would have to be like, I would never do that because I just wouldn't. I'm too sensitive of a person. I'm an adult student, okay? I finally almost got my bachelor's, and I've spent so many money and the profession that she's in. Oh my God, it takes a lot of schooling and stuff. She wants people to know, but she doesn't want to. It's like eating her up inside. She wants it. She's like, I just wish I could get this information out without it, jeopardizing me or. Okay. Then she mentions this situation's so deep. Don is only in the church due to community service. He's not religious at all, like he claims. There are teenage girls that Don was creeping around, but there is not enough evidence for the law enforcement to do anything about that. Okay, so there's a little bit more information here. I can't remember if there's any more bombshells, but she mentions that the boys have an advocate that they speak with, and they have gotten really close to her. They were terrified of their parents, and for a while they were terrified to speak about anything. It took them a while to be able to, because I did ask her, I'm like, like I said, I think I mentioned, like, how did they know this information? Is this reports? Like, because she's speaking like it's true, all of it. Like, so I wanted to know how they know for truth, like, for true. I mean, you know what I mean? But I guess the boys have finally connected and been able to, speak and feel comfortable. She mentions that it upsets her that people keep saying that the parents should have been picked up by law enforcement if they were going to arrest the parents, if they should have been picked up by now. She said this is like so far from the truth. She said the investigation is so complicated because of the information that law enforcement is dealing with. And then she mentions that she has Dawn's alias written down, because Dawn had an alias. And actually, after her telling me this, I looked up the name of Dawn's alias that she told me, and I saw it was already released on another channel. She says that nobody still knows what happened to Summer, and that law enforcement is working so hard. But that Dawn's alias was let's see here, a John Wesley Miller. She said the boys are doing amazing in their foster homes. Like I said before, the 2 youngest boys are together and the oldest boy's in a separate foster home. I was confused because she mentions that earlier mentioned that nobody in the family would take the boys, but then she mentioned that none of the family was qualified to take the boys. So I don't know. That was a little bit of a discrepancy there. I don't know. She said that nobody in the church would take them also. I guess some people in the church were asked. She said that, because I asked her here, I said, one question I have is why haven't Dawn and Candace been charged with neglect due to these findings? And then I said, or is it still on the works? She said, yes, she's saying yes, that it's still in the works, and that other charges are coming concerning the boys. She said, remember, I said they are in juvenile and family court. It will be sealed for the moment, and there is a gag order with the family. She says that Dawn and Candace are in a boatload of trouble. And then she mentions that because I asked her, I go, do you know, she said that the alias was used in Texas, and I said, oh, was it, I said, I can't imagine him being able to get away with an alias in these time of days, you know? And I said, it must have been from a long time ago, right? And she said, yes. And there is a video, somebody, True Crime Cindy has a video up. It was from a very long time ago, like when he was like 18 or something. So that's what I have about that. So then, you know, they have, so the major shockers that I was like, whoa, is that they have proof that there was a sexual relationship between Hunter and Candace. And that they were removed because they were in imminent danger under priority 1. There's 7 abuse claims in 1 year. There was years of child abuse. Dawn's lying about, the boys getting removed because of, people, because of this stuff with Summer and people, it's not because of internet drama or people coming to the property. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's abuse. The boys were emotionally and psychologically harmed with words, threats, and yelling up to several times a day. They were exposed to drug use. All 3 boys were physically abused by Dawn and Candace. They were kicked, punched, hair pulled, beaten with objects such as belts, shoes, and other items. The boys had body lice, all 3 of them. So actually, that's probably what she meant when she put body lice times 4, because I was thinking 4, but then she later says that Candace had body lice too, so that makes sense, because I was thinking, well, maybe they found out that Summer had body. No, it was. I think she meant the 3 boys and Candace had body lice, and then she also said that she didn't tell me how many had scabies, but I know for a fact that at least one had scabies. She didn't say, give me a number on that. They were left alone for 6 hours at a time. So that bullshit about Candace trying to act like she's Mother of the Year, watching Summer walk into the door and checking on her a couple minutes later, not true. They had educational neglect. They were missing over the allotted amount of time. You get so many days a semester. It varies between schools, but like my daughter's school is like you can miss up to 10 days per semester, and they were missing way over what they were allowed, and they weren't getting their assignments done. All the boys have special needs that weren't being met. They weren't getting any doctors care for the lice or scabies or dental care. They weren't getting the minimum amount of 3 meals a day. And then the environmental neglect was what we all saw, as far as there was not adequate beds, meaning there was not clean bedding, and the mattresses were, I guess, disgusting and soiled. So, and then the boys are 12, 11, and 9 for those. So, yeah. I can't wait till it comes out, proof that comes out that, where we could all physically see for ourselves that, like everybody, well, I won't say everybody, because we all have differing opinions, but many of us believe that there was something weird going on with Candace and Hunter. Not that I believe that Hunter really thinks. I think that Candace groomed him. That's what I told this person. I just said, she obviously had an obsession with him. She said that she was that it's also in a report of her harassing Hunter's girlfriend, an underage girl, because she's a jealous freak weirdo. Wow, that's crazy, Riley. T. Riley, about her screaming, locked in the basement. That sounds familiar. Locked in the basement. I've heard that before. Wonder if Allie knows. I think Allie was one of the ones that reported the abuse. But, after these pictures I saw on Allie, some video was put out. I think we watched it on here early this morning. I was so tired, but somebody wanted me to look at this video, and the conditions that I don't think Allie's any better. I think she did report Candace's in the living conditions and everything, but I think it was done out of spite. I don't think it was done for, real concerns. Probably a back and forth type thing. Because you gotta remember, Allie's the one, if you heard her on Chris McDonough, and even Hunter saying, oh yeah, she gets me, cigarettes or whatever, vapes all the time or something like that. And and then he like looks to his mom and like, doesn't she, or something like that. So his mom knew of this stuff and just didn't really care enough. She's just acting like she cares now because you know she doesn't want to get in trouble or whatever for neglect. I mean, she had to have known something was weird with Candace and her son. It doesn't matter that Hunter had a girlfriend. I don't know even why people mention that. Like that's supposed to mean anything. Like that's supposed to mean that Candace wasn't grooming Hunter or molesting him. Because what boy, I'm sorry to be graphic, I mean, trigger warning, that's why I have, but what boy at that age isn't going to turn down some, like, oral sex or something? No matter who it is. At 14, 13 years old? I mean, I know this because my boyfriend that I've been with for almost 9 years, like at 14 years old, he got a girl pregnant who was almost the same age as Candace, 39, when he was the same situation. He was her paper boy. The lady just threw herself at him. Some 14-year-old paper boy. Hey, Addie. Oh, Addie, you missed it all. I guess I could give you the rundown real quick. Just real quick. I can go over what was mentioned. But I suggest you, because we just went over all the good parts. So the boys are 12, 11, and 9. There was neglect under the neglect category. The environmental neglect, she said, speaks for itself. The house was deplorable condition. There was not adequate beds. There was not clean bedding. The mattresses were disgusting and soiled. Under nutritional neglect, the boys were not provided healthy meals at a minimum of 3 times a day. There was medical neglect. Dental care was not provided. There was not doctor visits for the lice infestation times 4, which the 3 boys and Candace had body lice. And then she mentions also scabies. She didn't tell me how many had scabies, or I don't even know if that's something that's I don't even really know what that is, but so at least one of the boys had scabies and was not given doctor care for. There was educational neglect. All 3 of the boys have special education needs that were not met. There was not an IEP or which is an educational where you're given special considerations and stuff in school because you might be ADHD or whatever, and not be able to pay attention as well. So you might need a little bit of extra time on a test, stuff like that. She didn't take the time to, but they missed way too many days of school over the allotted amount of time allowed. They missed way too much homework. There was lack of supervision. They were being left at home for up to 6 hours a day. She mentions the body lice again. Under the physical abuse category, this is one shocking part. All 3 boys were physically abused by both Dawn and Candace. They were kicked, punched, hair pulled, beaten with objects such as belts, shoes, and other miscellaneous items. All 3 boys were exposed to drug use, which I'm sure we all figured. Under psychological harm, they were constantly emotionally and psychologically harmed with words, threats, and yelling up to several hours a day. There was a total of 7 abuse claims in 1 year. There has been years of child abuse. She says there's no truth to the lies that the boys were removed because of the internet threats. She said that's a big fat lie by Dawn. They were removed under Priority 1, which alleges that children may be in imminent danger. There's a gag order that Dawn is breaking, and they're about to have an emergency hearing over it. Then she mentions, was the most shocking part to me, but I already assumed, Candace is also being investigated for a relationship with Hunter. Candace was 100% involved with Hunter in a sexual manner. She says this is the worst case I have ever seen. Candace is under investigation with DCS, and once they finish their investigation, they will turn everything over to law enforcement. Once again, because I asked her something, and she said yes, Candace was sexually involved with Hunter, even while the kids were around. Meaning, like, the kids would be in another room, and she would be doing whatever she was doing with Hunter. Or also when they're out in public, like at the swimming holes. Candace was harassing Hunter's girlfriend, who, by the way, is underage. She then mentions that Candace is equally as dangerous as Dawn. She goes, this goes so deep. And then mentions Dawn is only in the church due to community service. And that Dawn was creeping around and are involved with teenage girls, but there's not enough evidence with that for law enforcement to do anything about right now. And the boys have been talking to something she called a CASA volunteer. I don't know if you guys have heard that. CASA, like casa, meaning house in Spanish, volunteer, which is she says they have connected a strong bond with her and have opened up to her and begun to trust her. They were terrified to speak about anything they had been exposed to for a while, but somehow she's been able to get them to open up. Still, they don't know what happened to Summer, supposedly, but yeah, that's about it. There are other charges that are coming concerning the boys. So we will see charges on this. It just hasn't happened yet because they're still working on their case. And then she mentions Don's alias from Texas, John Wesley Miller. I guess he had an alias back in the day. He called himself John. So instead of saying Don, it was John or Johnny, Donnie. But anyways, she said she would let me get back to me with any other information as it comes. But yeah, the housing conditions speak for itself. We already knew that was like scurvy is a vitamin C. Scabies is mite in the skin. Yeah, I looked that up after she mentioned it. Yeah, she probably was drinking or while she was pregnant, I'm sure. What's wrong? Well, Addie, I mean, he's a 14-year-old boy who, right? I mean, damage control. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you've heard of the CASA volunteer before? Court-appointed advocate. Is that... Oh, so CASA stands for something like court-appointed advocate, but I wonder what the S stands for. I bet the boys know somewhat what happened. That's something else I mentioned. I was like, I wonder if the boys know, or I wonder if Dawn and Candace would have been stupid enough to do something to hunt Summer while they were around. Or maybe they had the boys so scared that they were. Yeah, horn dogs. I get a 14 there, horn dogs. But I mean, good Lord, Candace. So I wanted to show a few videos. I don't know if you guys saw this earlier. It was very interesting. Under Sweetie Pie Low, I'm going to first show this medium. I know a lot of people don't believe in mediums or whatever, but she's good. She predicted a lot of things with the what's her name, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell or whatever. So at first I'm going to play this little snippet from Sweetie Pie Low, who had on a guest speaker, Reverend Donna Serafina. I attached both their links in the description of this video, where you can go check out their channels because they are both amazing. But the actual mediumship of Summers is on Sweetie Pie Low's channel, not on Donna's. But I figured I took some clips, and I want to show you if any of you want to stick around. If you don't, that's fine. I find it very interesting. So let's see. I did this a little bit differently this time, so let's see if it will work here.
And he was whining about something. He was supposed to be in bed, or maybe he's playing in his pajamas. I shouldn't assume he's supposed to be in bed. But Lori has him there. She's planning on doing this. So it's not like she just gets mad and does this. It's just that she wasn't planning on doing it right in a second. So what she does is she's got another video.
I might have to play the actual video because I can't understand that very well. So I know you guys can't. Let's see. Hopefully I can find the clip where this shows how amazing this woman is. Okay. This clip just shows like the proof showing what kind of information she came up about with Lori Daybell and Chad before they were arrested. This is what she had said about them. It's just I just want to show a short part so you can see what I'm talking about, how awesome she is.
She's planning on doing this. So it's not like she just gets mad and does this. It's just that she wasn't planning on doing it right that second. So what she does is she's got another one of these bags. It's more like a husky bag. So she wants it like she's being real nice. And she's like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. And all of a sudden she just whips that bag over his head so fast. She's trying to get this duct tape, but now JJ's struggling. So nothing is ever as easy as she thinks in her imagination. Yeah, he's fighting against her. He's pushing against her. He's pushing her with his hands. He's kicking with his legs. He's trying to resist. And so she's trying to push it out. So she knows, she realizes now, oh yeah. So she's trying to get with her teeth to get it. She can't get it. Some man runs across the room. And that's what I don't figure. Why he might show me, because it felt like Chad.
I observed a small child in red pajamas, red pajama shirt, red pajama pants, black socks that had the word Skechers in orange across the toes. I also observed a white and blue blanket that had been placed on top of it.
Okay. And you observed what you perceived in the childhood. Was there anything that drew your attention?
Yes.
Describe the core of what drew your attention.
The amount of duct tape that was covering the body.
Okay. Where was that duct tape located?
On the head, arms, and feet.
Okay. Let's talk about the head area. When you looked at the head, what did you observe there?
The head had a white plastic bag over the top of it. It appeared to be a normal trash bag, had a red drawstring. It appeared to be the sample type of trash bag with a waffle style pattern on top of the head.
You mentioned duct tape there. Where did you observe the duct tape?
It was duct tape that was tightly wrapped now this way, tightly from his chin to his forehead area. Several layers of duct tape tightly wrapped.
Okay. Who was that with?
Joshua Bell.
Found JJ's body wrapped in garbage bags differently. His head was wrapped in a white garbage bag, and the rest of his body was wrapped all up, and the head included in a garbage bag. So I was thinking, is it possible that the way that JJ died was due to that white trash bag, that white garbage bag? Was it possible he suffocated? And if so, your natural instinct is to claw it off. How could that maybe be avoided? Could it have involved drugging? So
I just have to pause it for one quick moment. Do you guys hear this? I mean, this is unreal to me. And this is what blew my mind. Is here was Donna, what, at least 6 months, like about 6 months, right, Donna? It was January 31st, 2020 when you made your very first reading on the kids. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just 4.5 months later, they found them exactly how I said. Yeah.
Exactly how she said. And right?
Yeah. It's amazing. So I just want to show that because I thought it was super interesting. No, the bald guy's not the psychic. It's this in the picture here, the lady on the bottom, she's a guest on the lady here at the top, the very beautiful lady at the top. She is so pretty. Sweetie Pilo has her as a guest because and they're at first they discussed this Lori Vallow case. But I just want to show this to show how accurate she was. And it was just amazing. So I just wanted to show that first before we go on to... I recorded some clips, but when I played back that first one, it was like you couldn't hear it right. I'll try to play back. I picked out certain clips and it sucks because I don't know exactly where they are in the video. And I didn't want to have to play the whole thing, just the good parts. But I'll try to play the clips I had, and we'll see how they sound. And I did speed it up. I think I have part of them like on 1.5 because the lady, Donna, the medium, she speaks pretty slow sometimes. So, anyways.
Experience, like stood out the most. So a couple months ago, I was working on a project and I really didn't have any spare time, but I saw a little news clip come on my YouTube, which streams, the news stations, and it was about the little girl missing. And the first thing, I got what I call psychic block. It's like not me trying to think, it's like this. Yeah, we're not going to be able to understand that well enough. So let's see if I can find here when she starts talking about. They can never let her go. Her and Chad are so dangerous, both of them.
Oh, totally.
But I watched it again, and it was about small, because in that Idaho case, it was definitely infiltrated and lots happened to us.
For sure. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me for a moment, please.
This gets super interesting. Oh, by the way, trigger warning, times a million, guys. It gets really gory, just saying. I'm really, this lady was correct about Lori Dabo and also Susan Morphew.
People can rest assured that people have reported this. People have reported, like, say, Robin or whoever, people have reported what they know. Whoever, friends, whatever. It feels like Dawn is saying we got to get rid of Summer. We can't keep her around. Like, we're going to lose all the kids. It's like both of them, but Summer brings up the idea. I mean, Candace, that's how it feels to me. It feels like, it feels spirit energy, but I don't have it feels okay. That's Dawn's primary fantasy age. And for the next 5 years. So if he could get away with it, why would he get rid of his daughter when he just has his fantasy right there? That is discretion and disposal, right? He's got a wife.
Hold on.
That grew up being abused.
I want you guys to be able to see the words, so I'm going to try to figure out how to get this comment off the screen. Here we go. Because I have it sped up, so yeah, it's bad. So if you guys can't, it's bad. And she was correct, like I said about Lori Daybell or whatever her name is, and what we know already about Susan Morphew. She's amazing. She has been spot on.
Abused. A grandmother that probably grew up being abused as well. They're very aggressive people. They just have no mercy on this little Summer. Like, I got wave of spirit energy. Kind of a chill on one right there. I've seen a kitchen. I don't know if it's a kitchen, but like they're. Anyways, I've seen like the refrigerator. I know they said JJ was on top, but I see the girl on top. I see Summer on top of the refrigerator. She was hard to handle, and Candace didn't like the constant. It just feels like Candace whacks her across the head all the time. It feels like the Candace is the leader about getting rid of Summer. And one excuse she has is Don's fixation on her. Another excuse she has is the CPS investigation could reveal massive sexual abuse, not just by Don, but by Candace.
Wow.
And Candace selling her to people like Jose or whatever. So you have this man camping across the street watching the family. Why would he shave his head and his beard except for to not let them get his hair follicles? And if he went back to his wife's house, did he shave his pubic hair and his arm hair and his leg hair also? I have a sick feeling in my stomach. I don't have any chills. Could this man have done this? See, the thing is, Summer was for sale, just like Dawn's Facebook profile. Who would put this obvious blaring, this is a pedophile for sale signal, this red barrel that says for sale, and then she has Summer dancing in the rain? What the hell do we think it means? Yeah, I got chills again. Mama sold her daughter to pedophiles.
Oh my gosh.
I think Mom's getting a J, Jason. And that could be a total random person. It could be the name of a street. It could be anything. And it also could be that I'm getting the whole. At first, I'm getting J, and then Jason, and then but the J is big, so it might just be they're trying to get me to say J. That's how mediumship is. Like, it's very fluid and it's very interpretive of what they show you. And they're not. Well, sometimes you get a thought transfer. Sometimes you hear a sound, but it's mostly visual. I still am getting like beaten to death and stabbed to death. But I mean, it's like for a movie. I don't have chills though. Maybe it's because I'm not supposed to put it online. Grandma. Okay, so what's information that law enforcement? It doesn't matter to prove anything to people. What's information that law enforcement can use? And I got to show on my leg. Ivy Bridge train. Steamboat. Not an actual steamboat, it's just like a name, wisping by or something, wisping by. So it could be on a sign, it could be a picture, it could be anything. And it could be like you're driving up the street and you see a sign that has a steamboat or something like that. And I got chills, a little bit of chills on my legs about that. It could be the name of something bigger like a town or something, but I don't know. I mean, it could be super small, like the name of a street or the name of a thing. It could be a billboard board for all I know, I got chills on my legs about it, so I'll put that.
Are you talking, Don? Hold on, let me pause. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, because I think in that 12-minute, the first one is where there's all this about Gatlinburg, and I know a few people on Facebook seem confused. So I'd like to clarify that if that's okay.
Yeah.
In Gatlinburg, okay, so I don't know for sure this is Gatlinburg. All I know is the things that I was shown is like the gum chain, the gum wrapping chain. The crew found it. It is in the Ripley's Museum in Gatlinburg, the world's longest gum chain. The House of Mirrors is at the Ripley's Museum, or it's owned by Ripley's, and there it's in Gatlinburg. The aquarium where you walk through and you see the sharks and stuff is in Gatlinburg. Of course, carousels in Gatlinburg, they're everywhere. But what they were doing there, and then there's even the Twin kept coming in. A mile out of Gatlinburg, you go through a tunnel and there's Twin Creeks Path, which personally, if I was in Tennessee, I'd at least walk around there and see what I felt.
So basically, this the medium, or the lady on the right is the medium, and what you were hearing was her mediumship sheet that was recorded earlier, and they're re-listening to it now, and now she's kind of going over it again here on this lady's channel, just talking about what she heard. And also there's some type, I guess, that Dawn, I don't know if you guys had heard this, that Dawn took Summer to Gatlinburg, or they were in Gatlinburg. So she's saying that there's what she's seeing in her vision is that, something about, she saw a carousel and these certain things. And she's saying that people responded to her like, oh, all this stuff that you're mentioning is in Gatlinburg. So that's why they were talking about Gatlinburg. And then it just come to find out Dawn was in Gatlinburg they were in Gatlinburg just, right before Summer's disappearance. Then she goes on and she'll mention that whoever bought Summer, initially she says that Summer was sold to somebody. They didn't know what would happen to Summer, but they ended up supposedly killing Summer because the heat got too hot. You know what I mean? With this case, it just got too national and stuff. But originally, it was a pedophile ring and stuff like that. Supposedly, Dawn and Candace sold her. That all of them know, is what she says. Grandma knows. That she says it was Candace's idea because, CPS was getting too hot on their trail and they were afraid of the SA coming about. And, now after knowing what I know from that lady, my source that I was telling you guys about, what I was mentioning to you, I kind of do feel like I do believe that Summer's disappearance has to do with CPS. I do. Like, I feel that CPS was hot on their trail, and they were afraid that not only that, like, I do believe Candace felt like a competition with Summer. Even though she allowed this abuse. I mean, come on. Candace was doing it herself. I did ask that lady. I was like, I wonder if Dawn knew that Candace was messing with Hunter. But if Candace, Candace is into, I guess, little boys, little kids too. So I guess they're perfect for each other, Dawn and Candace. So I guess she would turn a blind eye to something happening to Summer, right? If she was doing it herself. I mean, not a 5-year-old, she wasn't, but who knows? Maybe she isn't into, I don't know. Pretty sick. Hey, RR, you missed the good part of the video. You're going to have to watch the first 45 minutes or so. Was the best part with all the information. So, yeah. And they will, Kathy. There's charges going to be coming out as far as they're not going to get, even if something doesn't come about with Summer or whatever soon. I have a feeling that, a lot of times law enforcement will arrest like suspects that they just know has something to do with it, but they don't have enough proof. They'll arrest them for something different they have. So what if they end up arresting Dawn and Candace for this neglect on the boys and the children and abuse, and that gives them enough time to hold them and to find, until they figure out what happened to Summer. Yeah, you missed the really good part at the front. I really, think you'll want to hear the first at least half hour, because after the first half hour was kind of me going over the information again real quickly for stragglers that were coming in. They shared a bed with Summer. Anyways, I wish my clips that I made, I spent a lot of time. That's part of the reason why I was late. Because I was supposed to start at 11. But that's the reason I was late, because I was making clips of this video so we wouldn't have to, fast forward to the good parts. We'd have all the good parts in video segments. But the sound quality is just horrible. So we have to do it like this.
Right.
So during that time, the things, and then where everything's upside down, somebody found in that Enchanted Life path, he found that there's a place called Wonderworks it's 10 miles from Gatlinburg, and everything is all these buildings are upside down. And
I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna show it right now. This is crazy. Hopefully it shows everything. Can everybody see this okay? I hope.
So that's the world's largest gum chain. I don't think that's the right gingerbread house. Oh, but there was the candy store they found. So that's the world's largest gum chain. It's a world record gum chain. So that was like a mind-blowing clue for me, because I'm like, I haven't thought of those in 40 years. I don't think that's the gingerbread house. I think the candy house, the candy store in Gatlinburg with the two poles that are wrapped in the candy cane. I think that's what I saw, because when I saw that, my mouth actually dropped open.
Oh my gosh.
Any clearer. And then so the aquarium, this is the Twin Creeks path that's just outside of Gatlinburg. So what was going on there in that trip to Gatlinburg is there was a middleman, or a buyer, right? A prospective buyer. And I do believe he's the one that looks similar to Darren from the Black and White Bewitched, because that's what they'll show me. They don't want to show me the real person. I think they don't want me to get myself killed, by pointing out all these people. But so they always show me this person, Darren from the Black and White Bewitched, but he was there that day. So what he was doing was he wanted to take a bunch of photos of, with Summer and where she looks like some all-American kid running around. And I had the feeling that's for to show other pedophiles, right? For his pedophile ring, and to see if he wanted to purchase her. So the trade-off wasn't happening there. Like a couple of people thought, oh, where did he take her to a carousel to trade off? No, because the other things I was seeing, where I kept feeling like, and I hadn't even looked at a map of Tennessee. I'm all the way in California, and it's like Tennessee Hills, and I was saying winery or brewery. Well, there's a Tennessee Hills distillery in Jonesboro, and it felt like originally Summer was taken to that general area, not to the distillery, but to that area. And then remember seeing a gazebo directly behind Tennessee Hills Distillery is Gazebo Park. So you could type in Gmaps, Gazebo Park, Jonesboro, Tennessee, and you will literally come up with that. And the steam train goes in between the Tennessee Hills Distillery and this Gazebo Park and goes alongside it. Yep. So, and that Enchanted Life path person.
And remember, and I think they're going to talk about it. Remember, where was Don supposedly working that day? Jonesboro. Didn't he work over in Jonesboro?
Oh my gosh.
He found that he sent me something and said that Don Wells was working only 6 minutes away from there.
Oh my gosh.
Away. So if the person says that he left for 35 minutes, they weren't sure where he went, he may have went and met Candace to do the trade-off right at that park there, or somewhere in that general area. So those are, I even have chills on my legs right now. So
so did you guys hear her? She says the person that Summer was sold to looks like, what's his name? Was the guy's name off of Bewitched? You remember old Black and White Bewitched? What's his name? Daryl or Daryl? She says that the guy who bought Summer looks like him. And so I guess the Gatlinburg trip that they took before Summer's disappearance was all, so these people, this pedophile ring, this Daryl lookalike, can see if they want to purchase Summer. It was supposed to be for a pedophile ring, but as you'll see later here, I guess that, she doesn't believe Summer's with us anymore.
Anything got to the police, it would be to look through. I'm sure if the family did go to Gatlinburg the week before and they have all the cell ping, then in that surveillance tape, they would want to look for a person that has looks similar to that Black and White Darren from Bewitched. That is the person who purchased the child. And it seems to have happened in this area, and it may have happened in this area just because Don was working there, so that was what he arranged. Or, they could have brought her up in the hills there. They could have brought her a whole different place. I don't know where they brought her afterwards. I just saw what I saw. And, again, hopefully it's wrong. Like you've said, and I asked you to tell people, the world's strongest psychic mediums are still wrong 1 out of 5 times. So, I only hope I'm wrong. I hope Summer comes home alive. I hope nothing bad happened to her. But what I saw was a snuff film. I'm just going to be blunt. Okay. Yeah. It was bad. What I saw was bad. Really bad. And either way, there's some people who need to go to prison. Really.
Absolutely.
So did you guys hear that? Ultimately, she's saying that since they couldn't keep Summer for this ring because of the heat of the case, too much public eye on the case, they instead made a snuff film with her for sickos who like to see little girls being hurt and selling it on the dark web. It's freaking sick.
And I really hope that if everything I saw was correct, I hope that these parents end up with guilt for the rest of their life when they found out what became of their daughter that they got rid of for cash. And I hope they're dealt with in prison. I hope they go to prison, and I hope they remember every day of their lives what they did.
Me too, Donna. Now, I remember, excuse me, in your first reading of Summer Wells, the 12-minute-ish one that you sent me, that I put out, you say a dollar figure of $50,000. Do you think, was that directly from Spirit, like the price amount? Like, do you think that's actually what it was?
I was just getting running information at that time, kind of like running into my head. And the feeling that I got, so, you know, could be wrong and stuff, but the feeling that I got was that the person who purchased her, that's for a pedophile ring to be sold into trafficking and that kind of, they would have kept her around for longer, you know, years probably, except for it became high profile. So that's where it's that they made a decision and they had to do a standard dozier, D-O-Z-I-E-R. I didn't even know what that meant. Like, I looked it up. Every meaning we can find for it is not good. Yeah. And the person, if the police saw that resembled Darren Stevens, that guy, the black and white, when Bewitched was black and white, that guy was present when she was murdered. I mean, I saw her murdered. Hopefully it's all wrong. Hopefully, you know, it's some crazy things go in my head, but I hope, you know, I always hope I'm wrong.
That's how I know, me too.
But he was present. And the person who did it, you know, I saw some jerk in the comments. I shouldn't even respond like that, but said something about Donna sees them making a movie, blah, blah, blah. No, I saw them make a snuff film. Okay, let me be very clear. This was not pleasant. This was not good. The person was wearing some sort of costume and mask. And I saw the child beat up severely, and I saw her stabbed to death. It's not funny. It's not a joke. No. If the laws are on here, if anybody makes a joke out of it, just delete them. I just have no patience at all. You know, obviously, I prayed last night that I was wrong. So
I pray you're wrong too, Donna. I think I said that in one of the intros or something. I think it was in the first intro. I think I said, or no, it was the last part. I said, here's to mediumship being wrong, because I want it to be wrong. I want Summer to be alive. Yeah. You know, I really do. But I also don't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Donna, please. You're a guest.
Well, I wanted Tylee to be alive. I wanted to be wrong so bad. You know, I planned, okay, I'm going to have a party if I'm wrong. I'm going to get champagne and cheese, and it's going to be, I'm going to have a party that I was wrong. But like with Tylee, by like the third reading, it gets more graphic each time. So like even the second reading I did for you, you know, Lauren asked me to do this, and I'm doing this to help and for no other reason. And I'm doing it for Summer. And but so I can't even remember what I was going to say, but I just, you know what, the second reading, I prayed, please show me an alternate besides this, you know, and then when I said, I mean, please, is she alive? Show me if she's alive. And they showed me her murdered again.
Oh, so that's really, to me, a confirmation, Donna. You too, obviously.
Yeah. It's not looking too good. It's not looking too good. So, you know, I would think I'd get ready to write a letter, you know, to law enforcement and tell them all our findings about Gatlinburg and Jonesboro and ask them, you know, I'm sure they went and got the surveillance. If it's true that they went to Gatlinburg and all their cell phones are pinging all over Gatlinburg, then they went and picked up that surveillance everywhere they could, I'm sure. And I would think. And then all they need to do is look through that and look for this guy that kind of resembles the black and white Darren, and that's their guy right there.
Unbelievable.
They solved if they do that, if they have that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go through, if you don't mind. We saw what Hunter said, right? We saw his so-called timeline, which I think, honestly, Hunter's probably pretty right on. I think Candace is the liar here, and I think Dawn's the liar. Sorry, just gonna put that out there. Let's, if we can, try to give an approximate, like, what do you think happened that day? So they went to the horse pond, right? They dropped Hunter off. Or no, sorry, they went to Walgreens, because Hunter was still in the car, wasn't he? From what I understand. Or was that before?
I watched the interview with Hunter. I saw that him and Candace had some things different. But you know, my logical mind, I thought dry drowning, you know, before I did any readings, I thought dry drowning, the mom knows she's under CPS investigation already. So just, you know, have Candace has all kinds of sex offenders on her friend list, just so people know. It's
Oh,
not
gosh.
just Dawn. Dawn does too, but so does Candace. And
Yeah.
and so I believe that she was selling that child for sex, and I believe that she didn't want to be there with Dawn while he's molesting a child, and that's now her comment. I mean, she grew up being molested. She grew up being raped. She grew up. This is all what men do, what people do, you know, to her. And so which store they went to, I don't know that that's a problem. You know, I thought my logical mind. So my logical mind's different from when I go into a trance. I could think something with my logical mind, and when I go into a trance, the spirit people could show me something totally different.
Right.
And you know, at some point, Candace must have met up with Dawn.
Yes.
You know, whether
That's
she's
the big
not, and see, that's the thing the police will know is if she had her cell phone with her, the police will know what happened. Oh, that's the other thing people should know, and I just got chills on my legs, is they showed me somebody's going to be arrested and somebody is going to lead them to the body. So
Good.
I think people can kind of rest assured about that. I have a feeling they're probably seeing how far they can investigate to this pedophile ring. Okay, because this is an underground network of people who really like to hurt children and see children hurt, and they're probably doing that, and probably, you know, if she was murdered, trying to figure out where the body was put and that kind of thing. But I was shown that there will be an arrest, and that one of the people, because I see the person in handcuffs, and he's the person's leading them to the body. So that's what I see happening.
That's so good that you see that. See, my concern really is that here we are, that law enforcement and everything, they're looking into this, but what if they're not looking at the days preceding her?
So these people, I hate that I didn't get the recording, because I had a recording a part of this video where when Donna says she first started doing reading Summer and feeling her energy, she said she first pictured this documentary that she watched, like it, and I wish I wanted to get the name of it because it's here on YouTube, and I wanted to play some of it, but it was about sex trafficking and stuff. But anyways, but yeah, these people, Melinda, are, the lady at the top is named Sweetie Pie Low. I put both their channels in the description, but the lady here on the bottom is Reverend Donna Serafina. She's a medium, and she predicted months in advance. I played where she predicted months in advance what happened to Tylee and JJ Vallow. Was that their last name? They had last name Vallow also. But anyways, with the, you know, Chad Daybell case or whatever, and she also predicted, it's come out, some of the stuff that happened to Suzanne Morphew. So I played, it's amazing. She's absolutely amazing, and she has been used by law enforcement because she's so accurate. So that's why I'm showing her what she is seeing. And it's really bad. She's saying that Summer was sold for sex. They hung out with a bunch of pedophiles, both Dawn and Candace. Donna and Candace are both pedophiles, like I mentioned to you guys earlier in the video. I think you missed it, but one of the big shocking things that I said that I were released is that Candace, it has, CPS knows 100% that Candace was sexually involved with Hunter. And the relationship between those two is still being investigated, but if nothing else, Dawn and Candace are definitely going to be going down for the abuse on the children, but they're not done investigating them yet, so that's why they're still not arrested. But you guys, don't worry, they will be. It's in the works. They're not gonna be getting away with this, and it's awesome. And here's just more confirmation from this lady. She says, I just, telling us to rest assured that the people that did this are going to be, they will also find her body. And That would be amazing. I mean, it'd be more amazing if we could find her alive and, somebody just took her because they thought she was being abused or whatever and trying to keep her safe. But, according to this lady, she does not see that. She sees that Summer was sold, and the main reasons was because CPS was hot on their trail and they were afraid that this all the sexual abuse was going to come out. Summer was getting to an age where she can talk about what's going on with her and stuff. She was about to start school. And also, Candace is just she was jealous of the attention that Dawn gave Summer, and she was tired of seeing Dawn want to mess around with Summer all the time. It's sick, but it's just the truth. But yeah, $50,000. Isn't it interesting that amount $50,000 comes up again? $50,000. Is that all their daughter's life was worth? Was $50,000? Really? $50,000 doesn't even buy a house. Like, that's all your daughter's life was worth? Sick. Yeah, that was about the most shocking info, was that RR about Hunter, and they know there was 100% a sexual, they were sexually involved, Hunter and Candace, and so I'm sure, and obviously, Hunter is not of age, and also Candace was harassing Hunter's girlfriend, an underage girl, because she's a jealous freak. I mean, yep, Melinda, I think many of us thought that she was sold. I mean, these people have no sympathy or they don't show the emotion. They don't have any type of sympathy or, or anything for Candace, or for Summer, whatever happened to Summer, whatever they did to her. Nothing. They still don't feel bad about it. How long does it take for them to go through $50,000 worth of freaking crack and meth? Really? How are they going to feel when those drugs are gone? The money's gone. It doesn't take long to go through $50,000. That's nothing. Then the high goes away and everything, and then all you're left with is the memory of you selling your child for freaking somebody's sick fantasy. And Dawn, we don't care what happened to you in prison when you were 17, or nobody cares. Today on Cher's channel, he goes, nobody cares that I was raped in jail. No, I don't care. I hope it happens over and over again. Sorry, guys. I just do. He's a sick man. Well, he can at least defend himself somewhat. 5-year-old can't. Allie is guilty on some parts. First of all, she was letting her son hang out with somebody that she knew was not somebody he should be around with. Hunter messed with her daughter. So I don't want to. I'm just bummed because I wanted you guys to see that documentary that this lady said she first pictured when she started to what's it called? Read Summer. I don't know what the word is. When she started, she first saw in her mind this. Before ever channeling Summer, she first saw in her mind this documentary. And I really wanted to watch the documentary because she said that's exactly like Summer's life. Oh my God, that'd be crazy, Maria. If it is Maria, that'd be crazy if Candace is pregnant with Hunter's child. That would be insane. Do you think that? Do you know that for a fact? Or yes, you're right, April Lynn. Melvin. Let's see. You're right. Melvin documentary. Let's see. Just Melvin? Yes, just Melvin. Oh my God, thank you so much. Here it is right here. Maybe we'll watch a little bit of it here in a second. Or I will. You guys don't. I mean, if you want to stick around, that's cool. But I want to see a little bit what it's about, you know? I'm not trying to get my channel struck. But, I mean, I'm guessing this channel that has it on their channel is not supposed to really have it up either. But we'll see a little bit more of this lady's Donna's reading. Let's
For disappearance. You know, that's like my concern, but I'm sure they're looking at everything. That's just my own worry.
Maybe. I'm planning on writing them a letter about like showing them everything that was found, just so they're aware of that. And if they haven't, you know, noticed this guy in the background and a bunch of surveillance things, or if they don't know that this was an arranged kind of semi-meeting, not where you're hanging around with him, but where he can walk around and watch her and decide if he wants to buy her.
Oh my gosh. It's so hard to conceptualize that this is real, but it is real. And this is happening all over.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking.
It is shocking.
The other day, really weird. I almost never answered my phone, and this lady from Utah called, and then she gave me somebody's name, and she was talking about child trafficking, but she was talking about her experience trying to help. I guess she's laying right there, right?
Oh my gosh.
She knows, and then you just look at all the confirmation.
Let's
You just look
rewind
at all
this.
those
She said
photos of the poor little girl grabbing her crotch.
here.
A couple things on YouTube, and I was shocked, and I sent you the link of one of them. I was just like, wow. Yeah, it's hard to believe that anybody would do this to their own child. But apparently people actually have children for the purpose of doing this.
Yes.
Or putting this human trafficking.
Yeah. And so the crux of it is, in this particular situation, this family dynamic here in Candace's home, it's that Don is paying attention to Summer. He doesn't give much attention, right, to Candace. She's gotten tired of it because she's sick of seeing this relationship.
Right there. I see this. She's laying right there, right? They're all
my gosh.
She knows. And then you just look at all that for confirmation. All you do is look at all those photos of the poor little girl grabbing her crotch. I mean,
yes,
she's sore. She's in pain.
Yes.
These people are just horrible people. They're lower than scum.
I know. And I remember the day, I think you wrote me some messages and you're like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. People know these people are sick. Remember that? Like about, I don't know, a week or two ago. And at that point I was done too. I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt before that. And I was trying to like kind of be patient about it. Okay, well, maybe they're just whatever. They're just really dysfunctional. But when you gave me that confirmation, no, Lauren, like this is what's going on. I was done. I was from now.
Because like in a way, I feel a little, or I did feel a little sorry for Candace. Like she's never had a life herself. She had very similar life that her daughter did, that she gave her daughter. And I fully believe that grandma there has turned another eye around and pretended she didn't see that, you know, her brother's molesting the daughter, you know, mom Candace, you know, probably her father, like this Candace herself has been abused since she was little. And and then now here's her husband preferring what she sees as sex, which is not sex, it's rape, to that child. And so she's seeing the child as competition to her. But beyond that, as a power struggle between them, because the child also knows that she's holding more power there, and the mom is selling the child to all her sex predator friends. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna. It's a sick thing, but Candace Wells belongs in prison, and Don Wells belongs in prison. They both do, and so does the grandmother knows exactly what occurred. In fact, the grandmother may have even suggested it. So she's not innocent either. None of them. All of them should be arrested, in my opinion, including. And then this person who looks like Darren Stevens was also present. You know, I saw her murdered and I saw him present there.
Oh, wow. You know, so the fact that his name is Darren Stevens, do you think that this speaks to the real person's name maybe being Darren? Or he just looks like Darren? Like, what do you think?
He looks like Darren. He looks like Darren
Okay.
Stevens. They showed me, because I saw them in, and then remember I said, oh, I could see him. He looks like Darren Stevens from the Black and White Bewitched. And that's what they let me see. They wouldn't let me see his actual face, but they were showing me, oh, here he is. See him, and then they showed me the photo of Darren Stevens, and he looks like similar to Darren Stevens. That's the person who they should be looking for. One of them.
Oh gosh.
Oh my God, I can't wait till this person gets caught and we can see. Wouldn't it be crazy? She's saying that the guy that purchased, the main guy that purchased Summer for this underground pedophile ring looked like the Darren or Daryl guy off of Bewitched, the black and white Bewitched. So if hopefully they get this guy. Wouldn't it be amazing to see how much if he really looks like him? That would be really amazing.
Yes, yes. And I want to say something real quick. Do you think the reason Candace tries to suppress her femininity is because of this habitual molestation her whole life, like being molested? Do you think that ties in together? Like she dresses more in manly clothes. Do you think does that all correlate? Because in my mind it does. You're trying to make yourself a little less attractive so that guys won't come after you.
It could be, and I also see a lot of the drug abuse as kind of a self-medication thing.
I mean, come on. I don't know. I better not say it. It's not very nice. I mean, Candace doesn't really have to try to make herself look unattractive. Except, I did see her back in the day when she had longer hair and stuff, and she definitely looked way less unattractive. I will say that. She's definitely made herself look more manly over the years.
And if she's really bipolar, which she probably is, the marijuana probably helps even that out. But I think she's on painkillers. Like in that one first interview when she finally came out and talked, she kept smacking her mouth. That's from narcotics.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
I know.
That's one of these OxyContin problems. And I believe, how do you pay for that?
Exactly.
You have to put a forced offering on your child. And you know what? It's a sad, sick, multi-generational thing, but they all need to go to prison.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Donna, are you cool if we go ahead and take some of these questions? I know people have been super patient. Thank you so much for your patience. Also, thank you so much for your super chats. I'm sorry. I'm so new at this that it came in and I had so much going on. I didn't get to address them right when they happened, but please know I'm going to write up a thank you as a community post. And also I posted Donna's
sure looks like it, April.
So that you guys can, rather than doing anything for me, I would love if you just donated to her. That would be awesome because we need to keep her motivated, to continue on the road she is because she helps numerous lives in what she does. So anyway, let's go ahead.
I appreciate that because it costs money. Like it costs $100 to buy the otter and, to even do this costs money.
It sure does.
I do appreciate that. And also I want to apologize if I'm not answering because these aren't my computer glasses. They broke and I ordered new, so I can't even read it. It's all blurry.
Oh,
they go like that.
How about I go ahead and read this to you, Donna? You want me to read it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can read the big one. Put it up there, but go ahead.
Okay. Were they paid in advance or was the payment to come later? What do you think?
Okay, so the thing to understand about those psychic readings is I see what I'm shown.
Okay.
So just because I'm psychic doesn't mean I know everything. I didn't see that part of it. I didn't see, I just saw that he was there for that. He was there to take pictures. And then I saw a catalog, like Summer would be in a catalog for the underground pedophiles. But I didn't see the money. I didn't actually even see the handoff.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay. It's just you kind of connected the dots and knew that there was a handoff. It made sense that there was because obviously she's not around anymore at the home, right?
People now. Yeah, she's with the other people. And I got the feeling that, they said, well, your parents don't want you, you're here and stuff like that. But I only know, I think it's good for people to know, like with psychics, you know what they show you or these mediums, you know what you've been shown. And I wasn't shown either way about that.
Right. Okay. Let's go ahead and take another one. Okay. Was he wearing a mask of Darren Stevens? So the guy that you saw do the final thing to Summer, was he wearing a mask too or just the top hat that you recall?
Oh, I saw him wearing a mask. That's kind of his face. He was wearing a kind of a costume looking outfit with a top hat. And he was wearing a mask and he wasn't wearing a mask of Darren Stevens. I saw Darren Stevens in the room. And so I'm not 100% sure if that guy, because with the mediumship, if you watch it, can kind of overlay, but he was present. This Darren Stevens looking character was present during the murder. So no, it wasn't a mask. It was that you'll see whenever he's arrested, he'll have looks that are similar to Darren Stevens, the black and white Darren Stevens.
Unbelievable. Wow. Okay. Now, outside of the your psychic intuitive sense, do you think it's possible? So this is your own opinion. Do you think it's possible Robin is any way involved, the church lady Robin, who was close to Summer? Just in your opinion.
I would be really, really sad if I found out that she was, because she really looks like a good soul.
I know.
She looks like a truly giving, caring person that loves God. And I would be so sad to find that out if that was the case. I did. I don't see Robin as being a bad person or being part of it. And I think
it really
she may have, though. You don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
it's my hope that maybe the reason these kids, that the three brothers, were taken out of the home ahead of time, just so it would be maybe a smoother transition when they do get arrested. What are your thoughts about that, Donna? Just the fact that they took the kids first.
I think Grandma got a really good excuse to leave the state and avoid questioning.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, because if your 5-year-old granddaughter was missing, like I messaged her with a little bit of my work and offered to help her. The next day when I tried to message her again, she blocked my messages, and I'm like, really? You know, anybody in that kind of situation who wouldn't want us. I'm certified, I'm tested, I am an actual spiritualist reverend, I've gone through 4-year training. I've proven myself that they're like, no, stay away. Yeah, because they're hiding so much. They're hiding so much. I don't think anything that any of them do is on behalf of the children. And I hope that those boys get taken away and put in a normal home.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not safe with Grandma. If she could pimp them out, it wouldn't surprise me if she did at all.
Oh gosh. Scary, isn't it?
She's no better than Candace. And I look at those two and I don't even know how Candace can even talk to her mother.
I know. You know, on a side note, I couldn't believe the ridiculous excuse in that article that somebody wrote about what Candace's testimony, basically about the day Summer went missing. And in that, Grandma, I guess somewhere down the road, I guess she had given some excuse that the boys, when they were in Gatlinburg, kept kicking her knee. And so that's why she needed to go to the doctor that Tuesday, just before Summer went missing. Did you know that, Donna? She said that they kept kicking her knee.
I think you might have told me that in the last couple of days. Yeah. Anything to go get some oxys, right?
Exactly. I could see her being like majorly into the doctor shopping concept, where you go person to person to person, you know, doctor to doctor, get a new script.
I just think they're all bad. I think that grandmother allowed people to rape Candace, Summer's mother, growing up. I think she had a hell of a life. And I don't know how she can talk to her mother, except she thinks it's normal. You know, the moms in these situations pretend they don't see what's going on, right? So as the kid tries to tell them, or they'll blame it on the kid. Oh, don't seduce your father. You know, come on. Yeah. She's guilty. That grandmother is guilty of so many crimes. It's not even funny. And she's just a female Dawn Wells, in my opinion. I don't know that she's less guilty if she wasn't the one that did it, or she turned away and pretended it wasn't going on while she let her brother do it, or her husband do it. You know, to me, she's guilty.
Well, remember her brother Grandma's brother is just now being released, like here in a couple weeks or something. He was like really gross pedophile, like deemed and, you know, unable to be released to society. He was that bad. He was locked. So who knows what maybe Grandis did let her brother do things to Candace when she was younger. That's a very good possibility. And it would explain why Candace is so, doesn't bat an eye to Donna's behavior with Summer. And also now, also has had a sexual relation or, messed around with a 14-year-old boy. Who knows when that started? That'd be very interesting. I would love to know how old Hunter was the first time that, when that started happening.
Right. Yeah, that's true. A big eye-opener for me was when Candace did her interview with Chris McDonough. And then Chris comes over to her house unexpected, does the tour. They go down the stairs, this crazy, what are they, scaffolding stairs? And Chris and her go down into that basement. Candace shows off to, I think it was the left, where Summer supposedly slept next to her brother all that time, right? There was a pillow
Right.
and I think a blanket on the bed.
Right.
Well, so you see the bed and all that, and it's just like, okay, so this is really not like where a child should be. It just seemed
and then you have Dawn.
unbelievable.
And then you have
Right.
Dawn later.
Yes.
Say, oh no, Summer slept in our beds and she's
Exactly.
I bet she did.
Bingo. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is there are two conflicting stories, which says Candace didn't want to say what she knew, and she
Oh, yeah.
didn't want to admit that she had been sleeping all that time with in between Dawn and her.
Yeah, so Candace was caught in a lie. And if you look
Absolutely.
at her, she lies, she has no problem lying at all.
Yeah.
When you're raised
right.
to lie, when you've been taught to lie, you know, when they're being molested and raped when they're children and they're being taught whatever, you know, they'll kill the whole family if you tell, they'll take you away, or we'll kill you, or whatever. These kids are raised in terror. And yeah, so we saw what Candace looks like when she lies, is she can keep a straight face and lie.
Oh, I know. She's really good at lying. Really good. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. So shall we take some more of these questions? Okay. In your opinion, how much longer do you think till Summer is found?
I don't know. And I heard that some other psychics said December, but I really don't know. I do feel like they're trying to get their tentacles into as far as they can into this pedophile ring. That's what I feel like they're doing. What I hope that they're doing. But I do see that arrest, because I see that, like I said, I see the person in handcuffs showing them where the body is.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're showing me that for a reason. I got chills on my legs. So it'll happen. You know?
Yeah. It's just
It's not like-
eventually, we don't know.
Yeah, in the Idaho case, I don't know that it was going to happen if I didn't do what I did, which just
Right.
kind of gung ho and just keep reading after reading after reading. And in the Idaho case, one of the people that wrote me back was, he's actually the brother-in-law.
Maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, possibly. That back when, was it JC Duggard that you did? You
But that's a whole nother, probably would take you an hour and a half to talk about.
right?
Typically, so in that case,
Okay, so that's all. You guys should go check that out on her, sweetie. I put the link in my description, and you should check it out. But that's pretty much what I saw, and I thought was really very great information. I'm gonna play a little bit of this. I haven't seen this documentary. Maybe if I can hold on. I wanted to play where she mentions this documentary and how it's.
Really wanted to share that because I think it's so important. And there was one thing that I did leave out of it. And it was because at the time it was pretty controversial to say this, but I believe you're 100% right when you say they ate her leg. Is that right, Donna?
Oh, that's what,
and the way I receive information,
she's
is mostly
talking
visual.
right now. This isn't about Summer. This is about Lori Val. Okay, so don't think that Donna Candace ate their leg or would. But yeah, yeah.
And no,
Pretty
they're
gross.
laughing. No, maybe about it. And
Buddy, what is it that made this connection, or what was it that, how did they present themselves to you, that this case of JJ and Tylee, how did that happen?
there was on the home screen.
I want to show where she
Like, you
brings
can
up
see the
this
air moving, but I stood.
this
Oh, no, mothers don't murder
documentary.
their daughters like that. On that first reading, the one that says Tylee Ryan, which agency? And usually, if you are going to do that, there's there's more. I've talked with so many of Lori and Chad's friends now. It's very, very interesting experience. Who is just, I love her. I really love her. And you know, we all know September 8th was the day she was murdered. It's a coincidence. We set up this lot, and it turns out on that date. But, you know, the only reason I even trusted her that much is because my daughter brought her in.
Right.
So daughter in detail about what her mom did. And because she knows her mom's a hustler. You know,
Totally.
And I would rather.
With Summer Wells and her experience, like what stood out the most?
See, a couple months ago, I was working on a project and I really didn't have any spare time, but I saw a little news clip come on my YouTube, which streams, you know, the news stations, and it was about the little girl missing. And the first thing, I got what I call a psychic plot. It's like not me trying to think, it's like them just giving me something. And it was about that documentary that I shared it's called on YouTube here. It's called Just Melvin, Just Evil. And that's what this case was about. And that was, I hadn't seen that documentary in over 10 years. but I watched it again, and it was about this man who raped all these little girls, his own children, and he married another woman who had a bunch of little girls, and he would rape them all. 14 girls were raped growing up by this man repeatedly, and he also sold them. He sold them to in this pedophile ring. So as far as I know, none of them went missing, but he would sell them for sex. You know, very similar to what I feel Candace doing. So
Yeah.
I feel that both Candace and Dawn are equally guilty, and I feel like the grandmother has knowledge. So anyways, yeah, it was back then, and I was kind of busy, and I did tap in a couple times, and I need to go back into my audios, because another thing people don't know is when I go into trance, I go as far as you can go between sleep and wake. So one of the exercises, like if you want to develop psych.
So that's when she mentions this documentary that I want to see, because she said that when she first channeled Summer Wells, that this documentary came to her mind. She saw this documentary, and so she says that it explains, it's exactly a lot like what happened to Summer Wells. So I wanted to just see, I haven't watched it, so you guys, trigger warning times a million. It's probably very, I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. It's an hour long, hour 15 minutes long. I just want to see kind of what it's about. She explained it, but I just want to watch a little bit here with you guys, because she brings this up. It, you know, be very interesting if all of us can get together down the road here, hopefully very soon. Yeah, or oh my God, a leg. Yes, they were speaking about, at first, the first third of the video was they were talking about the Lori Vallow case and how she predicted what happened with that. In her prediction, she said she saw her Chad and Lori roasting her daughter's leg, like they were roasting a pig, and they were eating it, and they saved the meat, froze it, made sandwiches with it. It's freaking disgusting. So, but before I started playing this video, after I got done with the information I had shared, what shocking bombshell info I wanted to share, I showed this lady's predictions before. That was her predictions before that she had actually given to law enforcement. It was put here on YouTube months before Lori and Chad were arrested. And she was spot on about I showed the part where she said that she saw them putting a plastic bag over the son, like tricking the son, saying, "Hey, come here," and like she hurried and put, like, they made it like they tricked him. And in that moment, she put a plastic bag over her head, and she said he suffocated, and they took duct tape and wrapped it like tons of times around his head to keep him from breathing, and they were holding him and stuff. She predicted all that. Yeah. She said, and she said in this interview too that she wonders, it hasn't came out that Lori and Chad ate them or anything, but she said she's like 100% certain. Like, she said she has a strong feeling with that. And she said she's wondering if there will ever become any evidence of that, like in the autopsies or whatever. I don't know how you would. I forget how she said. She came up with something that makes sense, why it would show in an autopsy or something, but I forget. But that would be very interesting seeing it. It will be very interesting if we can all, you guys in the chat, and hopefully sooner than later come back and see if, later on, if these predictions that she's saying with Summer Wells end up being true, and how much of it's true. And I think a lot of us probably already had a feeling that she was sold. So how much of that is her actual psychic abilities or intuition, or just intuition? But she is very, very, descriptive, and the whole, the man that bought her, the lead man that bought Summer, looking like Daryl, is that his name? Daryl Stevens from Bewitched, the black and white version. It'll be very interesting. So let's watch a little bit, just a second, of this documentary. And, oops, hold on. Give me a second while I share the screen.